Is the most productive quarter, the commercial quarter, and that is obviously a big issue there. So as well as the human rescue and recovery operation going on here, that logistical operation trying to get people moved away from Christchurch going on as well.
Well, the space shuttle Discovery is rocketing into space.
2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. A tribute to the dedication.
The shuttle and 6-member crew blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida about 30 minutes ago. It's carrying supplies as well as spare parts to the International Space Station. NASA plans to retire its shuttle program this year after 2 other spaceships make their last flights in the coming months. Half past the hour, this is Al Jazeera. These are the headlines. The United States says it supports the expulsion of Libya from the United Nations Human Rights Council, and the Swiss government has frozen assets belonging to Muammar Gaddafi. It comes after the colonel made a speech on state television blaming Osama bin Laden for the uprising in his country. He also reiterated his belief that many of the protesters had been given drugs.
The demands come from bin Laden. You, as Zawiya people, are substituting the popular and Jamahiriya system with bin Laden. Bin Laden cells have been operating here for months. His operatives are provoking and brainwashing your children, inciting them to launch attacks. The enemy perpetrating the killings of our children, operating from mosques or elsewhere. Bin Laden and his operatives are providing your children with hallucination pills. Those are the true perpetrators. Arrest them and bring them to court.
Witnesses have told Al Jazeera that at least 100 people have been killed in heavy fighting in the town of Zawiya. That's just 50 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli. Meanwhile, oil prices are falling following rumors the Libyan leader has been shot. The U.S. government says it has no reason to believe Muammar Gaddafi is dead. It comes as the Bank of America claims oil production in the country is set to shut completely. Tribal leaders in Libya have been meeting in Al Baida in the country's east. They're calling for an end to Gaddafi's 40-year rule. Anti-government protesters seized control of the city on Friday. That's after they were joined by local police. Rescuers in New Zealand are losing hope of finding any more earthquake survivors in the city of Christchurch. A government minister says the death toll now stands at 113 and more than 220 people are still missing. More than 24 hours have passed with no further signs of life from under the rubble. In other news, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange plans to appeal a court decision which ruled he can be extradited to Sweden. 2 women have accused him of rape and sexual assault. His lawyers believe he won't get a fair trial in Stockholm. And the former Egyptian information minister has been detained on corruption charges. Anas Al-Fiki was arrested at his Cairo home on Thursday morning. 101 East is coming.
Since gaining independence in 2002, East Timor has been plagued by instability. This is despite the presence of the United Nations and a contingency of international peacekeepers helping to rebuild the nation's military and police force. But now, the East Timorese government want these foreign forces out of the country. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we ask, are East Timor's security forces ready to protect their own people?
Police Chief Superintendent Henrik da Costa is putting his brigade through their paces. He says these drills are essential in reforming East Timor's 9-year-old police force.
It's very hard as a commander to get the police force on the track. But anyhow, as a leader, I should try to manage my staff to perform their duty. I should direct them on the right way.
The Chief Superintendent's beat is Baucau, a scenic colonial city on East Timor's coast, once notorious for gang violence, crime and unrest. He believes better training methods, more police stations and stronger community engagement has cut crime.
We can see a lot of improvement. For example, in 2008, we record about 284 cases criminal. And 2009, we reduced it to the 184. And 2010, it's still in the same numbers.
Chief Superintendent Da Costa claims East Timor's districts are now secure and says focus should turn to building more infrastructure.
I'm confident that now the police can, National Police of Timor-Leste, they can assume responsibility, and then they can, also they can provide security to the people of Timor-Leste, because we have learned from the experience that occurred in 2006.
That year, political tensions split the fledgling nation's police and defence force into opposing factions, triggering violence that killed 37 people and put East Timor on the brink of civil war. 100,000 citizens were displaced, including Osvaldo Guterres, who fled to safety inside East Timor's UN compound.
I ran away with one shirt and nothing in our hands. Our house was burnt down. I was emotional and traumatized and could only think about saving my life. We heard gunfights between the two forces from our compound, and it made us think, should we flee or stay in Dili?
Australian and New Zealand peacekeepers arrived to restore stability, the latest in a string of foreign forces here since East Timor split from Indonesia in 1999. Now East Timor wants them to leave after national elections in December next year. Deputy Prime Minister Jose Luis Guterres believes East Timor must look after its own security to be taken seriously in the international community.
As East Timorese, we have to take care of our own affairs. And also we believe that there are competing needs also in other regions, in other continents. And maybe the resources that the UN have been invested in Timor can be also implemented in South Sudan and other countries, in Haiti.
Rebuilding East Timor's police force is the main focus of the United Nations in their third mission here since the country's independence. 1,500 police mentor, assess and conduct joint patrols with local officers in projects nationwide. But that will likely end by March. District by district, the UN has been handing authority back to local brigades.
This is made on a criteria that was commonly agreed between the United Nations and Timor-Leste. This process, it assures us that it is not based on a timeline, but based on the criteria. So once the district or unit meets the minimum criteria,